Hello and welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title of this video, we are going to put up against each other the new and old models of some of the new TaylorMade irons. So we've got the P7MC in the old model versus the P7CB, and also the new and old P770. So this has come about because when we did the review of the new versions, a lot of you were putting in the comments about, can we see a comparison against the old model and the new model? So ask and you shall receive. So we're going to hit some shots with both today. I've got various different irons in the sets here, so we are going to put 7 irons up against each other of them all because I've got them in our fitting cart here. So we'll put 7 iron data, but I'll also hit some with, I've got kind of half sets of each of these irons as well. So we'll kind of have a bit of a look at what the irons look like, kind of discuss which ones we think look better than each other, and then we'll show you the data at the end. So let's go hit some. So we're going to start with the previous model of P770. So I'm going to hit both P770s to start with. We all know it looks great behind the ball. It's obviously a model of iron that does have a bit of tech in there. So we've obviously got the hollow portion of the head in there. We've got some foam in. We've got the slot in the sole there to give us a bit more flexibility and a bit more ball speed and a bit more forgiveness. So this is an iron that's going to suit that kind of player who does want something that looks pretty nice sat behind it, but also might need that little bit of forgiveness, and potentially might need a bit more help getting the ball in the air in the longer irons as well. So let's hit a few, get a bit of data, and then we'll hit the new one. I mean, feel off the face is awesome. It does feel really good. I think you'd be hard pushed to tell that it wasn't a kind of solid forged head, really. It does feel very, very good, and it sounds lovely. And we certainly have, when we've reviewed this in the past, kind of remarked upon how good it does feel. Yeah, it just feels easy to hit, very, very forgiving. Ball flight looks nice and high as well. So I'll hit a few more with this, get some really good numbers, and then we'll hit the new one. So we're now going to try the new P770, the 2024 version. Again, some similar technologies. We've got the slot in the sole, we've got the port in there for the foam inside the head. So we've got that kind of hollow head story. I think in terms of looks behind the ball, it's quite similar. It's a little bit different in some of the shaping, but you'd be hard pushed to tell one apart from the other. But let's put it through its paces. Let's have a bit of a look at the performance and see kind of how it feels as well when we hit it. So let's just hit a couple to start with. I mean, it does feel very, very good. That first shot there, it's the first time I've kind of compared the two irons. Obviously, we tend to do standalone reviews of all these things, but having just hit the old one and now hit the new one, this definitely feels more like your kind of forged head. It kind of feels a bit more solid, I think, which I quite like. Very, very good again. Just feels lovely. Really, really nice off the face. Very nice high flight. Distance is pretty good too. Again, just feels so easy to hit, really easy to get the ball airborne. I just think it feels that little bit better than the previous version, just on feel alone. We're yet to see what the numbers are like, and I'm going to hit some more with it, but certainly just by the actual feel and kind of what I'm getting as I strike the golf ball and how it comes off the face, the new P770 does feel just that little bit better. We're now going to move on to P7MC. Obviously, this is the previous model, an iron that has had lots of acclaim really in testing. Certainly an iron I loved when we got to do the review of it initially. There are still many of the TaylorMade staff players using this iron, and it's going to be quite hard to get it out of their golf bags, to be honest. And certainly when I've looked at other kind of channels when they've tested irons and kind of ranked them, this comes out very, very favorably all the time. In terms of the looks, it's absolutely great behind the ball, much thinner top line to what we've just seen in both of the P770 models. Obviously got that little bit less forgiveness, slightly narrower sole as well, and kind of aimed at that slightly better ball striker and better player who doesn't need maybe as much help as the P770 player will. So let's hit a few and see how it goes. Get much more solid feel when we compare it to the P770. And it's more kind of the feel I am more used to, and kind of the types of iron that I generally would use myself. But it still feels nice and powerful off the face as well. I'd imagine we're probably not going to get as good a distance. It might be up there, I don't know, but the lofts are a little bit weaker in these. And loft is an interesting thing. So whenever you see reviews of irons and kind of people who go on about the lofts of clubs and how strong they are, sometimes they're not lofted stronger to make them just go further. That's not the only reason, right? So some of it is down to the technology that's in the head. It's how they've moved the weight around, the CG, and obviously in more forgiving irons, it's trying to get the ball in the air more and spin it more, okay? So get it up. Whereas cranking the loft stronger is going to help bring that flight window down a little bit and help control the distance. It's not all about how far we hit it. So we may well find that even though these irons aren't as strong in loft, we might hit them the same distance. I don't know. We'll hit a few more and have a bit of a look, but certainly those first few shots that we've hit with P7MC have come off very, very nicely. And I'd imagine gone for quite similar distance. And finally, we're going to hit P7CB, obviously the newer version of P7MC. So this is kind of your muscle back kind of cavity, slight cavity in the back of the club head there. So a little bit more forgiveness than the MB models that we see. Again, the same shaft, same length and lie, and same loft. So the differences are minimal again. So in the playing position, they look identical. You can see a little bit of a difference when looking at the face in terms of the milling. The CB, the newer model, the milling just looks a little bit deeper and you can kind of see it a little bit more. But other than that, it's very, very similar. Let's see what the performance is like. Again, feels pretty good off the face. Nice, solid sort of feel to it. I don't really like irons to feel crazy soft when you hit them, and some of you out there will absolutely love that, but they've never been for me, really. Again, I'd be hard pushed to tell you the difference between this and the P7MC, but we'll see when we look at the numbers. I mean, I don't think there's going to be that much difference, if I'm honest. So now that we've hit all four of these irons, let's have a bit of a look at the TrackMan data. So it has to be said, didn't really feel that big a difference between the new and the old, but whether we're going to see that in the numbers, let's take a look now. So let's start with P770, okay? We can see the numbers there are pretty much identical. So if we look at the ball speed and also the launch, the spin, the height of the new one was ever so slightly higher. Really, I mean, you're hard pushed to split them both. So, I mean, we're less than a mile an hour apart in just about everything. In terms of carry, we're maybe 1 yard difference, favouring the new P770, but the total distance is within half a yard. The spin, again, very negligible difference there as well. Certainly nothing that you could hang your hat on in terms of difference. The one thing I would say is the new one felt better to me. I just felt like the strikes felt a little bit more solid, a little bit more powerful off the face. But like I say, looking at the numbers that we're seeing, there's not really too much difference. Now, when we look at the dispersion as well, you'd be hard pushed to tell the difference between those two as well. So if we look at the old P770 in the white kind of ellipse there, it's a little bit bigger potentially than the yellow one that we saw with the new. So, the shots I've hit, they're a little bit closer dispersed, which is pretty good. But it's very, very subjective. I don't really think there's too much of a difference in performance at all, personally. If we then move on to the P7MC and P7CB, we can see a little bit of a difference. Now, if we just talk a little bit about loft, that's something that we spoke about during the video. Now, the differences in loft with these, there's only one iron that's not 33 degrees, and that's the old P7MC. So it's 34, so 1 degree weaker than the other irons that we've tried, okay? And whether that equates to why we're seeing a slight difference here, I don't know, but it should, in theory, go less distance, but we're actually seeing it goes a little bit further than the new one. So we're seeing that there's a little bit more spin there. In terms of the total distance, it's a little bit higher. We're talking 2 yards, so it's very negligible as well. It could be that I've just hit one there that's a bit better strike and kind of skewed the numbers a little bit, but certainly the ball speeds are very, very similar. The dynamic loft that I'm delivering is pretty similar. The height in the P7MC is 3 feet higher on average, which again is very, very small differences. Now, in terms of looks behind the ball, with these two, I couldn't really tell them apart, if I'm honest. I think they look very, very similar. And when we're looking at the performance, you'd be hard pressed to split one over the other. Now, the one thing that I did find when hitting the new version of, so the P7CB, which is the newer one, I found that kind of the ball flights I was hitting were pretty similar. I've hit one there that's just kind of gone a little bit to the right, but generally I thought the strikes were good. But then there was one with P7MC, so the older version that I pulled a bit, that's just gone absolutely miles, which you can see on there. But yeah, for me, I just felt like the ball flight was probably a bit more dependable when hitting the new P7CB. But is it enough to kind of make you buy the new over the old? I don't know. Maybe that's something that you can have a bit of a look and weigh up. I'd certainly go and get fitted and have a bit of a look. If you're that player who's already got P7MC and thinking of getting the new P7CB, I would be interested to see what you find if you do some testing, but certainly on what I've seen, I don't think you're going to see too much of a difference. I think all of these irons are great, it has to be said. So if you do have a model that is a little bit older and you're looking to upgrade, if you're that person who likes the look of a sort of more player's iron but needs that bit more forgiveness, P770 could be very good, or even P790. But then when you get into the kind of more forged end, P7CB or the P7MC are very, very good irons as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed that review. As we can see, it's negligible, the differences kind of model to model, but there are certain differences in the looks and feels and things like that. Certainly I preferred the new P770. I thought the feel off the face was very, very good. But make your own mind up. Go and test these. Go and get fitted. Go and try them. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And hopefully we'll see you all very, very soon.